So I wanted to talk about one time that I kind of didn't feel like I fully was part of CS, or at least that felt like I should quite be in CS. Wasn't sure if I should be in CS, and that is an internship I had at Microsoft. And so when I got that internship, well, after interviewing, I was really excited because I did not expect to get this internship at all. I felt like I wouldn't have gotten it. I wasn't gonna get it. Like, I enjoyed the interviews, but I was like, ah, it's probably not gonna pan out, right? And so what happened is I actually did end up getting the internship. They gave me a call, and I was so excited. I just told everyone, right? So I called everyone up. I called my family. I called everyone, and then I realized that I felt like I had some obligation to my family back at home in Mexico, or to my friends, or everyone, that I just had to do well, right? Because in general, I felt this obligation. And so I came in. I won my first day at work, and then I was like, I'm gonna do great. I'm gonna do everything I can. It's gonna be like school, right? You're gonna try and learn and study, and try and get good grades. Good grades. And then I got my project, right, and I realized that was not at all, like, I just felt overwhelmed. I looked at it, and this is a problem that I did not know how I was gonna solve, right? So I for a couple days I just felt stuck, right? I just was like, how do I even approach this, right? And as I talked to more and more people, I felt like I was in the wrong place. I felt like I didn't fit in because everyone seemed so smart, and like they knew so much about Microsoft and how Windows works, and I didn't know anything about that, right? I was like, how do I not know this? Like, I should know this. I'm working here. Maybe they hired me for the wrong reason. Maybe they should have hired someone else instead of me. And then I started talking to a lot of the other interns and realized that they felt the same way. It wasn't just me, it was all the other interns. A lot of them, not all of them, or not all of them said they did, but a lot of the other interns felt the same way. And that's when I realized that when it comes down to it, it's really not so much about whether you know everything or not. It's about realizing that it's okay not to know things, realizing that you can learn them while you're there, taking that weight off your shoulders, and just kind of breaking down the problem, and like, okay, so the project, this is my project, right? Like, I have to do this. What do I need to learn? Okay, I can learn this. This is something I can learn. This is something that you've done before, right? When you came into CS, you had to learn Java, or you had to learn how to program. At some point, you have to learn about computer architecture or operating systems. These are all things you have to learn about. You don't come into computer science knowing about them a lot of times, right? Maybe you have some notions. Sometimes maybe you've thought about it. Maybe you haven't. But either way, you don't like know everything, and it's okay. It's okay not to know everything. And this is something that kind of noticed had happened to me in the past, and I've noticed it happen to a lot of people here. When I tried to learn C++, I was really scared because I really felt like, oh, C++ is this really esoteric language. It's like something that only experts use, only real programmers, whatever the hell that means, use, right? Like people who use Linux and people who use terminals. Like, why would I'm not an expert enough to use that. Like, why would I use that or even touch that or care about that, right? And then one day I sat down and said, wait a second. So this is a programming language. That's all this is. It's another programming language. Let's grab a book. I personally like learning with textbooks, and this varies with everyone, but for me personally, I bought a textbook and it just went through it, right? And I was like, okay, I'll do all the exercises, I'll work through the entire problems, and I'll just learn all of it. And then I learned and that's how I learned C++. Was it short? No, it was not a short period of time. Was it easy? It was not easy. It was very hard. It was a very different language, like pointers. What are pointers? I had to learn about pointers. I had to learn about memory allocation. I had to learn about some really specific C++ syntax, which seems really freaking weird if you've ever used any other programming language. Like Java, it seems so different from Java sometimes. But then after you learn it and you realize that, you know what, it's just another programming language, it's just something else you can learn, it kind of becomes so much easier. Everything becomes so much easier. And I've seen this problem in a lot of my fellow computer scientists here at UT, because that's what you all are, computer scientists. If you're studying here at the University of Texas at Austin in the Department of Computer Science, you are a computer scientist, right? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone tell you you're not a real computer scientist or whatever. You are. You're here. You were accepted. You've been working through it, so you are a computer scientist. So I've noticed I've been mentoring a class, and I've really enjoyed tutoring precisely because all of these mistakes I've made, I'll get to help other people not make them, right? So something like, if there's a piece of advice that I can give anyone be it someone I've been a mentor for or someone I've been a tutor for, is simply that do not be scared about the problem. Look at it and realize that somebody else has done this before. Somebody else has been where you are right now, thinking about the problem and breaking it down. And they're not special. The people who have done this, they're not special. They're not different. They're not like they can do it and you cannot. Everyone can do this, right? You can break down the problem. You can come up with a solution, right? And you can look it up if you wanted to, and you can ask for help. That's okay. But you can also do it. Don't ever think that just because you don't feel like you're special, or that because you're smart, or whatever the hell people say, don't think that because of that you can't solve the problem, because you can. You really can. And I see like people drop out sometimes out of classes, like the robotics class I help in. And often I feel like sometimes people like really feel like it's too overwhelming and it's too much to work on. Sometimes it can actually be, and it's okay to drop out. But oftentimes I feel like people drop out not because it's overwhelming, but because they simply feel like they can't do it, or they can't fit into computer science or robotics, right? And whenever I see that, I try and remind people, like, it's okay. It's okay if you don't feel like everything is perfect. It's okay if you don't understand everything. I didn't understand everything when I took that class, right? Like, we went into a lot of crazy machine learning stuff, and I didn't understand half of it. And later on, I was able to look at it with more calm and time, and I was able to understand it better. But it's okay if you don't fully understand everything. As long as you're able to sit down and learn it, as long as you're able to accept not knowing, and be able to realize that somebody else was in your position before, and the person who came up with this was in your position, as long as you realize that, you'll be fine. And not only will you be fine, but you'll be ahead of so many other people who are actually scared of this, right? Always remember, do not be scared of a problem just because it looks hard. Sit down and realize that somebody else has done it before, and realize that you can do it too. And if you do that, you'll be halfway there to solving the problem.